Hey guys, it's Heather, your certified high performance coach. I get this question a lot of what does it mean to be a high performer? Well, Burchard defines high performance as being able to succeed. Let's try that again. Being able to succeed beyond the standard norms consistently over the long period while still maintaining well-being and positive relationships. To me, those last two are really important, is to have that maintenance of your well-being and your positive relationships. Because if you're involved in toxic relationships or ones that aren't serving you and just draining your every bit of energy, then it's not healthy for you and it's not helping you to be a high performer. And if you're not doing those things that are helping to maintain that sense of well-being, like protecting your energy and doing those healthy habits that are good for you to sustain that energy and make sure that you have enough brain power to get through your day, then that also gets in the way of you being a high performer. I'm going to share with you a simple framework on how to assess your habits and do a little detective work on how those habits have been formed. Word of caution, I did say simple framework, not necessarily simple to apply. Sometimes it takes a little bit more digging and uncovering to figure out how those habits formed and what's making them continue to tick. So let's get into it. A man by the name of Charles Duhigg came up with this concept called the habit loop. It is comprised of three different things: the cue, the routine, and the reward. And it kind of goes in this triangle because they're all connected. So let's break that down and first talk about the cue. The cue is exactly that. It's a cue or a clue that starts you going into the next thing. So a cue can be something that is time-based. It could have to do with your environment, other people, could have to do with your emotions. So for example, I could look at the clock and notice that it is 12 o'clock. And then my brain tells my body I'm hungry because it's time for lunch. Where it gets a little tricky is that a cue can also be an emotion. Like maybe you're feeling sad, and whenever you're sad, you tend to start to binge eat even if you're not hungry. The next part of the habit loop is the routine. Now, the routine is the kind of meat and potatoes. It's kind of the main part of the habit. It's the part that you do over and over and over again. I always like to think of the routine as a hamster on a hamster wheel, just kind of continuously spinning. It's hard to get off of it because you just keep going and going and going. So the routine could be something like putting on your shoes. It's not always something that we think about, okay, what's the next step in this thing? I just do it. So for example, you might be a sock, shoe person. You might be a sock, shoe person. You might be a left to right, or you might be a right to left. We all have these routines and don't necessarily think about what's the next step that I need to do in this routine. So the last part of the habit loop is the reward. The reward is kind of self-explanatory because it's anything that tells your brain, 2 thumbs up, good job, this feels good, let's do this again because we like the reward. Now, the reward does not always have to be something positive. We tend to think of rewards as something that is positive and good and healthy for us, and that's not always the case. And if you think about any bad habits that you or other people have had around you, you can probably easily name a reward or a reason why they keep doing the routine or the habit part again. So if we go back to our habit loop and look at the whole concept of, let's say, emotional eating, our cue is that we're sad, and so we start to binge eat. The routine is that we reach for that box of chocolate every single time that's in the back left of the pantry. I may or may not have that. And then the reward is, oh, I got chocolate. It tastes so good and it feels so good. So I'm going to keep doing that again and again and again every time I feel sad. But the part that gets kind of tricky is that we look at these habits and they're not always easy to find out what is the cue, what is the routine, what is the reward. So now the next question is, how do I change a habit? Well, 2 parts are going to stay the same and 1 part is going to change. So the cue, we can't really change the cue because we can't change time or other people. Can we change our emotions? It's debatable. The reward, we also can't really change because what makes us feel good is what makes us feel good. So the part that we're going to change is the routine, the part of the hamster wheel that we do over and over and over again. So let's go back to our emotional eating habit again. So if we look at the cue was an emotion. I feel sad. The routine was I go and eat chocolate, but we're going to take that part out and instead say, I'm going to go for a walk outside. And the reward is still going to stay the same. It feels good. Then you have to do that part over and over and over again so that you can train your brain and train your body to a habit loop that works for you. And the more you continue to do that, the better high performer that you can be. And the last part of all of this is just believing that you can change, believing in yourself that you can do the work that you need to be that high performer and have these healthy habits so that you can maintain well-being, maintain positive relationships, and succeed beyond those standard norms consistently over a long period of time. If this was helpful for you, leave it in the comments below. I'd love to know how you were able to work through some of these habits. And I've also got an upcoming workshop coming up. Whim, my dog, was just letting me know exactly how she feels about habits. But I've got an upcoming workshop coming up called Recharge, Refocus, Renew. It's happening on February 26th from 11 to 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And it is free and virtual, so you can join from anywhere. All you have to do is register at wellnessrecreation360.com/workshops, and I'll also put the link in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. Take great care, and I'll see you next time.